Hey everybody, my name is Kayce and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, what we are going to be doing is decorating and designing the outside of my museum. I have this area laid out right in front of it. So what I am going to do right now is just get a little bridge to go ahead and put in front of that river that I have terraformed already, and then I will pay that off and start decorating. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will pop back in a little bit to let you know what I'm working on. I wasn't able to place the bridge where I wanted it, so I just have to expand this river a little bit more, and I'm doing a diagonal bridge because even if the museum is left in a little tent, you still can't get a straight across bridge to line up symmetrically with the museum entrance, so I felt like the diagonal bridge would be the best option here. So the first area that I am going to start with is this little area leading up to the bridge, and then I kind of have this little area right next to resident services that I just made a little seating area. So I am just going to start figuring out how I want to go ahead and put the pathing down here. And then right here you can see I'm struggling a bit with laying down the pathing, especially because Lloyd is in the way. So I do go ahead and decide to time travel to the next day so my bridge is already placed and I don't accidentally keep talking to Lloyd. Right here I am just laying down that same brick pathing, and this is another reason why I changed out the pathing on the other side of the bridge, because it was just too much of the same pathing in one area, and you'll see me change that out towards the end of the build. But I really like how this brick pathing looks in front of the museum, so I do end up leaving it for this area right here. So for the little area right here next to the museum, I want it to be a study area for blathers, so I decided to take down some of these cliffs to kind of open up that space a little bit more, and then I will take down that brick pathing that is right here and lay down a blanket code. So now that I have the blanket laid down, I'm going to go ahead and put this little half circle lacy code right here. I just really like how that looks, and I'm going to play around with some different items. I start out with the mush table, but I do decide to switch that out. I just feel like it's too much yellow for this area, so after I put down the items, I decided to take that off and go ahead and lay down a table with cloth. I just feel like this looks better because you can customize it to have a custom code on it, and I really like this green, white, and orange code, so I went with that instead. And then for whatever reason, I had a little bit of a hard time figuring out what type of seating I wanted to put around this table. So as you can see, I'm testing out different seating items right here, but I struggled with this for quite some time, so I decided to go ahead and take a little break from that and start to decorate the area next to this little study area. So I know I want to make this area feel really kind of foresty and enclosed, so that's why I'm just putting that tree right there, and I'm also planting a lot of flowers because my theme for this island is still kind of Springcore, metalcore, so I'm going to try and incorporate flowers as much as I can, but Unlike my last island, I don't want it to be a bunch of different colored flowers in the same area. I'm going to try and stick to this color palette with a lot of oranges, greens, and whites, and then I want to put in some pink flowers when I can. So as you can see, I am just testing out different items right here. I came back to this area, and the rocking chair, I'm just not a huge fan of that because of the little like slats in the back of it. So once again, it's another small picnic area or study area in this section of my island that just takes me quite a bit of time, but it eventually does come together. So if you see me going back and forth to this area a lot, it's just probably because I was getting a little bit frustrated with the items and the amount of space I had to work with, and I needed to take a break. And then for this area right here, I'm just putting down a globe and a microscope just in case, you know, Blathers needs to come over and inspect any little bugs or anything like that. I know he hates bugs, but you know, it's part of the job, so I guess he has to do it. So I finally was able to find the seating arrangement that I liked. I went with the log sofa and the log chair and then this little director's chair. I feel like it looks pretty good in this area. They're all kind of like the same height and you can still see them over the little table with cloths because that table's a little bit bigger. That's I think why I was having a hard time picking out the seating to go around it. And then, like I mentioned a little bit ago, I want to be able to have a lot of trees in this area, so I'm just kind of bringing out these cliffs a little more to give myself some more space to be able to enclose this little study area with some trees. And then I found this really cute cat standee. It looks like it's kind of walking into a little hole in the cliff, so I just decided that that would look really cute right there, so I left it there. And then this little awkward space right here, unfortunately, I struggled with what to put here for quite some time because it's not a full tile. I think it's like a little bit bigger than a half a tile. I was kind of struggling with what items to put here, so you'll see me testing out a bunch of different items. And then I eventually just decided to bring back that cliff a little bit more so I have a full tile to work with. And then I'm just placing down an emperor butterfly model in its little cage. I really think these are underused items. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I just think it fits really well in a museum setting or like on Wildwood. I had a couple of those on my little hiking trail area. Also, another thing I wanted to do for this area was make it so that there were a bunch of little seating areas around it. Like there's just not that one main study area. I kind of want it to be where like Blathers had these different areas set up where he could kind of like take a break from the main study area and then just go take a little walk and sit in these other tiny areas. So you'll see me building a couple of those throughout this video. So right here, I am just going to lay down one of my favorite codes, that cute little squirrel code going after the berries. And then I am just going to go ahead and test out some different items I want to put right in front of this tree. And then for this area right here, that's like right next to the bridge and the river, I kind of struggled with what I was going to do with that area. So here you'll see me placing down a mush parasol, but after I place this, I go and work on the area next to the museum to the left because I'm just at this point unsure of how I want to decorate this area. It does come together a little bit further into the video, so be sure to stick around so you can see the progression of that area coming together. I decided to remove that tree right there because I just I don't like how it was like sticking up so far above this area in the back. It was just too tall. So I'm just using this little park clock right here, and then I'm going to make another little micro seating area for blathers right in front of that area. So for this little section right here, I'm playing around again with some more items and flowers and fencing. I decided I don't like how that bamboo stool looked with a little timer on top of it, so I just threw down a little pink anthurium plant right there. And then I will be going in and filling in this area with a piece of fencing, and then laying down another little rug coat, and then putting another seating area. So I'm just placing down a little picnic basket right here because I'm kind of thinking for this area Blathers could come on his little break and just have some lunch outside and get out of the little tent. And then I'm just filling in this spot right here with some custom designs, and then I will go back over to this area. I did do some terraforming. I just cut that out of the video because it took me a little while, so I decided to make a little river right here because it kind of breaks up the area versus having it all be just land. And then I will be going in and decorating the rest of this area right in front of the museum and the little study area. So this is another area that I had a little bit of an issue with figuring out what items to put here. At first I really wanted to try and incorporate that mountain bike, but I just felt that it was too big for the area, and plus that flower code just looked a little weird there. So I decided to take that out and then put in some flowers, and you'll see the other items I wind up going with. I do test out quite a few different items in this area, and I think, you know, that kind of shows like don't be afraid to experiment with different items, and don't be afraid to kind of take your time with a certain area because you don't want to rush it and then end up hating it and taking it all down. So that's just kind of why I left this part in the video, because I wanted to show that it's, you know, okay to struggle with certain areas, and not everybody just comes up with these beautiful builds right away. It's kind of, for me, just like a trial and error type thing. So I decided to lay down a little diagonal blanket code right where the squirrel was. I unfortunately had to take down my favorite code to put in this diagonal blanket. I just really like how this diagonal blanket looks. It's like light green and yellow, and I feel like it kind of fits in with the other color schemes or colors that I have going on for this area right here. So that's why I had to sacrifice the poor little squirrel for this pretty diagonal blanket. And then I decided to put a little pie and cutting board on top of the diagonal blanket. I just feel like those items fit the diagonal blanket really nicely. It's really hard for me sometimes with those diagonal blankets to figure out the spacing of the items that I want to put on top of it, but I really felt that those items looked good right there. And then I know that I want to be able to have a little walkway that's coming kind of from the bridge throughout this little area, so I'm just laid down those log planks right there, and I'm just also trying to figure out kind of where I want to put my next couple little micro areas for blathers. So I decided to come back over here because I didn't finish that little seating area, and now I'm just going in and filling in this area with some flowers and a little stunted tree. I feel like the flowers are really what brings this area together. It looks really nice. I really like the different color flowers I chose to use for this area. And now that I've got that all taken care of, I am just putting down another little rug coat, and then I'm going to create another little micro area for blathers to just kind of relax at. So you'll see me also struggling with this, I think it's called the artisanal bug cage. I really wanted to fit this in this area, but that item is just so big I couldn't make it work. So I come back to this little seating area right here, and I decide to go with a typewriter on top of it and to switch out the code that is on the bottom because I use that other rug code behind me. It looks too similar to the one that I had placed down right there. And then I think I also was just kind of getting a bit frustrated with this area, so I take all of that down all together for the moment, and I'm testing out this little spooky lantern set. I really like this item. I think I've mentioned that before in another video. And then I switch out that pie for the Berliner because I feel like the pie was just too much of a like tan or brown color, and the Berliner brings in a nice kind of like orange color to pop out a little bit more. So I'm going to actually go ahead and time travel to the next day. I feel like when it reaches this time in the game, it just makes me feel like slightly uninspired because the colors are just so like weird looking. So I go back to my regular like 5:36 a.m. to kind of finish up the rest of this build. I take out that towel basket and put in that old-fashioned alarm clock. And then for this area right here where I wanted to have a typewriter go on top of it, I decided to go with this rug code instead of the little 2-tile code. I just feel like this looks nicer because I did use a lot of those 2-tile codes in this area, and I like the color of the blanket little tile that I chose to use. So now I'm just going back in and fixing up this terraforming on the other side of the river so all of my edges can be rounded and look nice. So I wasn't quite sure what to put in this little space right here. I tested out some hedges and some fencing, but I just thought that looked a little weird. So I decided to go up on this second level right here and then kind of just reshape the little waterfall or like river that I have up here, and so I can extend it down a little bit more onto the second level. Now that I have like kind of the general shape of that area up there how I want it, I decided to extend it out a little bit on this lower level. Right here I do actually have to end up kind of moving some items around so I can get this little like island, if you want to call it, area to look rounded and to look nice. So I'm just going back up here and fixing up the waterfall. So I only want it to be like a single lane waterfall right there. And then I'm just adding in some flowers as well. And then right here I am just playing around with some different items. I wind up going with flowers because it is an awkward amount of space right there. And then I am just filling in the rest of this kind of like log plank pathing. And then I'm heading back over here to change up this brick pathing and put down the grass pathing that I've used in other areas of my island. I just feel like it looks a lot nicer to have this grass pathing down because with, like I mentioned earlier, with too much of the same pathing, it can just look a little bit, I guess, like uninteresting. And also, if you look like to the left where Sydney is, I wasn't sure what to do with the pathing over there, but I was able to make this grass pathing work, so it's kind of like you can go either way. And also Sydney was so cute, just like sitting there vibing at like 6 a.m. I love her. So then right here I am just working a little bit on the pathing that will be leading up to my house. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do a speed build for my house or not. If that's something you would like to see, please let me know in the comments below. I can totally do that if you are interested in it. So right now I'm just filling in the rest of the pathing, and then I just need to work on this little area leading up to the museum. So I do decide to lay down just this little kind of light white and purple flower circle so I can put a mush parasol on top of it, and then I will be filling in the rest of this area with flowers, and then I'm taking a goldfish and placing it in that like pretty blue container. That is the one that it just automatically comes with. Like it's little, I know it's not a cage because it's a fish, but I just thought that's really beautiful. And then I just came back over to the museum area because I wanted to try and incorporate another little insect in their own little container, but I didn't like how that blue one looked, so I decided to put down that Zen cushion with a little lost item on top of it. And now I am just filling in some space between these log planks with some different custom codes. I don't always like to have my log planks like stacked on top of each other. I like to break them up with some other custom codes. And now we are back over to this little front walkway area. Right here I am just testing out some different rug or blanket codes. I am not sure exactly what I want to put in this area, so that's why I'm just kind of playing around with some different items and different codes. I didn't end up liking how this little blanket looked. I just wasn't able to make it work, so I decided to fill in the rest of the area with some flowers, and then I decided to use this plank pathing to kind of lead you up into this area as well. So all that is left to do for this speed build is fill in the last couple empty areas. So that is just what I am doing right now, and then I am going to go ahead and time travel back to about 6:30 in the morning, and I will give you all a final walkthrough. Alright, so here we are. This is the little transition area leading up to the museum. I really loved creating this area. It's a lot different than my museums in the past. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. It would mean so much to me if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and left a like on the video so I know to make more content like this. But I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!